A murder in Lumberton leaves the community asking why.
And voters in the 9th Congressional District finally get resolution. I'm Emmy Shalua.
And I'm Abigail Brown. Welcome back to another semester of Carolina News Today.
We'll tell you what's been happening on and around campus while we were gone.
And Ty the Sports Guy is back for another season of Braves Athletics. Stay tuned. The 9th Congressional District finally has representation. Former state lawmaker Dan Bishop was sworn in to the U.S. House of Representatives Tuesday. The former state lawmaker defeated Democrat Dan McCready in the September 10th special election between the two Dans. Registered voters in counties including Robeson and Scotland will finally be relieved of the robocalls, junk mail, and local insert advertising in their social media. Republican Bishop was a co-sponsor of HB2, the so-called bathroom bill, back in 2016. He has sponsored hemp growing regulation, judicial redistricting, and a cap on state income tax during his time in the General Assembly. Newcomer McCready won narrowly in Robeson, Scotland, and Cumberland counties, but lost significantly in Union, Bladen, and parts of Mecklenburg. The election was a do-over from 10 months ago when a consultant hired by the Republican Mark Harris campaign was found to have employed people to collect absentee ballots, which is against the law. Harris dropped out during the investigation and was replaced by Dan Bishop after a second Republican primary.
2 Lumberton men were charged with the murder of Roderick Brewer, a local bartender at the popular downtown restaurant Adelio's. Brewer was 55 years old. His body was found on his home on 17th Street. The 2 suspects were also charged with burglary. Co-workers and customers say Brewer will be deeply missed in the community.
Roderick Brewer, it was a good friend of mine, besides being a good worker for me. He always done a good job. He was personal. Customers always come to me, compliment, and it always made me green, man. And we're gonna miss him a lot.
The campus mourns the loss of sophomore Nathan Toller, who was killed in a car accident back home when we all left campus for Hurricane Dorian. Toller had just made the Braves wrestling squad as a walk-on the day before. He was 20 years old. Toller was a passenger in a Jeep SUV on Highway 55 in Mount Olive when the vehicle crossed the center line and collided with an oncoming tractor trailer. The 18-year-old driver was also killed. The driver of the tractor trailer suffered only minor injuries. Toller was recognized with a moment of silence at the first Braves home football game that weekend. Our condolences go out to the family.
Hurricane Dorian turned out to be no big deal on campus. No flooding and minor impacts from some leaky roofs. Dorian was downgraded to tropical storm conditions by the time it hit Robinson County. Classes had already been canceled from Wednesday at noon through the weekend, including online classes. The Brave football home opener was moved to that Saturday, but there weren't enough students to fill the marching band at halftime.
A ceremony on August 29th marked the opening of the University Courtyard Apartments expansion. Students had already moved in, but the event was a way to thank some of the many people who made the project a reality in less than a year's time. According to Director of Housing Paul Posner, the 4 new buildings fit 192 students, yet they broke ground less than 8 months ago. The contractor on the project was local firm Metcon. Workers started framing the first building on March 6th and were ready for occupants on July 25th. Chancellor Cummings said the Lowry family, who owned some of the land going back to the 1800s, helped the school acquire the right-of-way that ran alongside their family cemetery. Rosemarie Lowry Townsend praised the relationship of her family to the community and the land. After the official ribbon cutting, many of the people who worked on various phases of the project enjoyed tours of the facility.
A policy proposed by the university could make it easier for students to be addressed by their preferred name. For a variety of reasons, including gender identity, some students don't want to use their birth name. The policy is going through a public comment period. It would enable the use of preferred names on course rosters, in Canvas, and similar applications, but not on legal documents such as transcripts. Advocates say the policy is a step in the right direction for the school.
This is something I know that many former and then current colleagues and students have been working towards and on for a while. So to see it come up for approval and possibly passage to the faculty is great.
The LGBTQ organization on campus, Spectrum, says the use of preferred name is all about respect.
And that name holds so much power, and it's a really nice start into recognition and also just celebrating diversity, which is something that this school really entails and just is proud to do. And with celebrating diversity, it's also respecting individuality, and that's something that this policy really does, which I think is a really good thing, and it's a good start.
In the town of Pembroke, Linda's restaurant closed their doors after 28 years in business. Customers lined up to receive their last meal August 31st before Linda Revel-Shepherd entered retirement the following day. Linda's has been a Pembroke staple and known gathering place for the community to enjoy American classics and Southern fried favorites, and it will be missed by all.
In Laurinburg, a beloved restaurant was lost to fire, not to retirement, although it might result in the owner's retirement at this point. General MacArthur's on Barnesbridge Road was destroyed in a 2-alarm fire on Sunday when they were closed for business. No one was in the building at the time. The kitchen and dining room are destroyed and exposed to the elements. The fire is under investigation but is believed to have been electrical.
The Coast Guard has issued a warning about the dangers of charging batteries unattended after a boat in California caught on fire and 34 people were killed. The boat, called the Conception, takes scuba divers out to sea for overnight trips. A UNCP professor who teaches scuba has dived off the boat numerous times. He says he never once received instruction on what to do in case of a fire.
Never do I recall them talking about below decks area. Like, here's an emergency exit. I never recall them pointing them out. But when you go down the stairway into the sleeping area, I'm a diver, and it is claustrophobic. I mean, you feel it. I'm in a completely enclosed area with no way to get out except for a small emergency exit on one end and the regular standard stairwell exit that exits up into the galley area. Many of the divers I've spoken to, because I know quite a few people who dive off Truth Aquatics, have said this is, not only can I not stop thinking about this, but it has forever changed how I'm going to view diving off of a boat.
A shooter on Fayetteville State University's campus Monday evening left one student in serious condition after being shot 9 times. The alleged shooter is facing charges of attempt first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. He is being held under a $750,000 bond. The victim was former football player Levante Carter.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has announced that they will attempt to ban flavored vaping products by developing compliance policy for electronic nicotine producers. A 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey stated that over 25% of high school students currently use the products. Once hailed as a safer alternative to cigarettes, flavored vaping products now pose a potential threat. FDA Commissioner Ned Sharpless said the flavored vaping products are especially attractive to children.
Recent reports of deaths linked to vape products have left the safety of electronic cigarettes up in the air. Some students on campus do vape, but others seem to understand the risks.
I mean, I've heard like bad things about it, like there's secret carcinogens and crap, causes like cancer and stuff long term. So I mean, that's why I don't mess with it personally.
It's really wrecked people's lives, and I've seen how it affects others and their skin and their mentality and their immune system. So I don't believe in doing that kind of stuff. So I don't do it myself.
I wouldn't be surprised if all those turned out to be true, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there's at least some element of exaggeration, since it is a bit of a nicotine element of it. It gives a lot of people suspicion to begin with.
I mean, it is what it is. If people want to do it, I mean, you can't stop them, but they shouldn't do it.
I feel like maybe we shouldn't have even invented them in the first place, but I don't really know. Like, I realize that it is bad, but like, it's not like it's like a habit for me. How some people are like addicted to it. It's just like a, oh, can I hit it kind of thing. But like, it does bring up, like, you know, issues that like it is time to stop and that people shouldn't be doing it anymore.
Braves volleyball makes a comeback against a local rival.
And Lumberton football bounces back.
Ty the Sports Guy will tell you all about it. Stay tuned.
Brave Nation, welcome back to another exciting semester of Brave Sports. I'm Ty the Sports Guy, and I'll be updating you on all the action in Brave Athletics. Let's start with volleyball, who had two matchups this past week. The first game was against Mount Olive. It took 4 sets to decide the winner of this match. The Braves came out strong in the first set, winning at 25-16, but the following sets were very close battles, but all won by the Trojans. Mount Olive had a rough start this year, but were finally able to add a W to their previous 0-3 record. The second matchup was against St. Andrews, and the Braves had to grab the broom to sweep up their wins. It was a semi-close matchup during the first 2 sets, with the Braves having to bounce back during the second set, but the third set, the Braves were able to easily seal the victory. April Tankersley and Raven Oates both walked away with 13 kills, contributing to the Braves' overall 49-kill match. The Braves' next game is Saturday against Valdosta State at 2:30 p.m. and another one against Converse at 5 p.m. They also have 2 matches on Sunday, one against West Florida and one against Erskine. Soccer went up against Chowan this past Wednesday. Not much action was to be talked about in the first half, but in the second, points were being put up on the board. At the 73rd minute, freshman Naomi Fountain scored her very first collegiate goal as the first goal of the game. Then at the 75th minute, senior Katie Ryan was able to score her third collegiate goal from a penalty kick, giving the Braves a 2-0 lead. Chowan was able to answer back with their own goal from a penalty kick by Sierra Gonzalez. Final score was 2-1 Braves. This marks their third road victory. The Braves will have a week off before returning home to open Peach Belt Conference play against number 13 Columbus State on September 28th. Cross Country's meet to host the conference season opener was scheduled for Friday, September 6th, but was postponed to the following Saturday due to rainfall during Hurricane Dorian. Course conditions at Luther Britt Park were ruled unsafe, resulting in the meet being canceled overall. Coach Ormsby looks forward to hosting the conference meet in October.
Well, we were hoping to have a little bit more advantage hosting last weekend, but Hurricane Dorian had other plans, obviously. But the fact that we're practicing on it 1 to 2 to 3 times a week, it does give us the benefit of knowing the ins and outs, the routes, where the holes are and everything else. So in the grand scheme of things, we do know the course like the back of our hands, or will by the time we have conference. We just would have liked to race competitively on it before conference in October.
The cross-country teams will travel to Wingate this Saturday to compete in the Bulldog Stampede. Good luck, runners. Last Saturday, Braves football matched up against the Virginia State University Trojans. The Braves had a great start with an 87-yard kickoff return, but were unable to hold the lead against the Trojans, allowing them to score 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, along with 4 touchdowns in the second half of the game. Quarterback Josh Jones was sacked 5 times, and the Braves' rushing game was limited to just 34 yards total. The loss marks the team's 10th straight road loss dating back to the 2017 season. Fortunately, UNCP football has an exciting match coming up against Catawba on Saturday. UNCP running back Josh Sheridan says the game against Catawba is a must-win.
Catawba beat us last year in overtime, so we still got a chip on our shoulder about that. We had beaten them in the last 2 years, so it's going to be a very exciting game. Should be a good game.
Lumberton High School had a football matchup against the E.A. Laney Buccaneers. The game had a delay due to thunderstorms that rolled over, but after half an hour, the game was on. First score of the game, Buccaneers running back takes it 3 yards for a touchdown. Lumberton comes up with a plan to take over the game. Third quarter, quarterback Jadarian Chapman rolls out and throws the ball to Jordan McNeil for a 17-yard gain. In the very next play, Chapman rolls out on the same side and finds McNeil again, this time for a touchdown. What makes it better, he catches it between 2 defenders. McNeil's going to be a major playmaker for the Pirates this season. And with the crowd energized going into the final quarter, Chapman rolls out to the opposite side to once more find Jordan McNeil, who made the catch and ran an extra 20 yards to the back of the end zone. Lumberton Pirates walk away with the win, 21-14. That's all I have to update you on Brave Athletics for this week. Till next time, I'm Ty the Sports Guy. Emmy, Abigail, back to you.
Thanks, Ty. The weather looks gorgeous for Saturday's home football game.
That's right. It'll be sunny in the mid-80s all weekend. I'm Emmy Shalua.
And I'm Abigail Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.